Hello, accelerators. Super excited today. Thanks so much, Sean, for inviting me to do this. Quick live on a bunch of questions that other entrepreneurs have. I've been in business for about 18 years with one company. I've had other companies that have succeeded and failed. I grew up working for my dad's company, being on their board of directors from a young age. And yeah, I love seeing new businesses, finding out what's happening with new businesses, helping new businesses. One of our missions is to help at least 100 businesses grow to 100 employees by 2030. We also service large corporations, billion-dollar corporations. They're not the best customers. Some of the best customers I've got are in that 100 to 300 person range. Had a great past customer. It's been years. John Deere dealership, multiple cities that he's based in. But the owner calls me up and he says, "Kael, I heard there's a war on in Ukraine. Any way we can help out?" And yeah, he can call me anytime. It's good to just build those business relationships where you get to know people, and that's why I love mentorship, and that's why I'm doing this. So going to dive right in. One of the questions is kind of near and dear to my heart. Todd Ferguson has a question about what benefits do you add first to help with retention and new talent acquisition? Insurance, retirement, or other benefits? So definitely the first one everybody's going to throw at you is healthcare, dental and vision. Those are the really big ticket items that are going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to offer. So yeah, you need to have them, right? As you grow and become a corporation, gets at that employee level, it's required. But there's things that you can do before then. I used to conduct a stay interview with top employees. So one of my top employees started, kind of as a bit of an admin assistant, but was really almost an equal. Moved into a general manager role for actually two companies that I had at the time. One of the things I did with her is I did a stay interview. You can Google what a stay interview is, but basically you sit down with your good employees and say, "Hey, I really appreciate the hard work you've been doing. I want you to stay. What are the things that would really help us keep you? What are the reasons that you currently stay? What might be a reason why you'd leave and go to another company? You know, is there something that you would need from us that we currently don't offer?" So really having that open-ended conversation. And what I learned from this general manager is one of the things she liked the most was our Friday barbecues. We didn't do it every Friday, but definitely during the summer and stuff, we would do a barbecue regularly. Get a cooler, fill it up with some pops, some beer, some flavored alcohol drinks, and definitely some things for people who are alcoholics. I'm been 4 years sober and stuff, so just some sparkly water, some mango juice, whatever it is, and barbecuing up some hot dogs and burgers, doing some veggie burgers, whatever it is. And she said that her husband was super jealous. Worked for the one of the biggest car companies, BMW dealership, and he said that they had to pay at the bar for their Christmas party. And we didn't supply a bunch of drinks. We knew people were commuting home. We actually wanted them to finish the day and go back and do a bit of work. And so we supplied a few dollars in free drinks every Friday. We also would do some photo shoots there, sharing it on social media. Sometimes we'd bring people in. We brought an Olympian, who brought his gold medal down, one that I knew, and yeah, had it at this barbecue setting. We brought in suppliers, so it really just a great kind of team building benefit that didn't actually cost us much. It was much cheaper than taking everybody out for a 400, 500, $2,000 meal. And she really liked it. Her husband was jealous, and she had a bit of a mean streak, so she liked to make her husband jealous, so she would mention it often. But asking what they value, and then also when you're asking prospective candidates, especially ones who turn down your offer, just doing a quick follow-up. "Hey, can I jump on the phone with you for 2 minutes?" Um, Even if they turn you down, they might end up actually not liking the job that they actually took, but taking that 2 minutes and saying, "Hey, Why did you take this other job? What did they have that we didn't offer? So really starting to understand that value proposition if it was a benefit that you were missing. Yeah, it's taken us about 18 years to offer that, that 401k to get that retirement savings plan in place. So um, it, it's something you can strive for, have a plan for. One of the things I say to people is, my teammates is like, hey, what do you guys want from us as a company? Um, and us, it's really the company, right? I know some people are sole proprietor, but as you get into that company stage, when you hopefully have a few $100,000 in revenue, I say to them, listen, it's the company. The company's going to pay for it. So how much money do we need to make to get to that level, right? So, I say, our target is making 4 placement a month. So we're going to be talking to dozens of people, presenting them to a few clients, and hopefully we're going to get those 4 job offers for each team. And if we're hitting that, we can put in this level of benefit. So people understand that when we're striving for greater things, our goals, we're going to share in that as well, right? So yeah, really being future focused and putting in those things that you can afford, right? So it might just be that hamburgers and hot dogs. It might be paying for, uniforms, getting them cleaned, whatever it is that really helps, adding a transit, subsidy. Here's $30 for transit. What are the things that are going to make a difference to you and other people? So yeah, definitely ask any more questions about retention and attraction. Love those questions. Being a headhunter, being a recruiter. So um, uh, Carrington Crothers has a question. What are ways to close a prospect when a prospect's hesitant? So some people will go through the car salesman alternative close. Can I get you into a car today? What can I do? If I talk to my manager, I'm really kind of not of that school. I'm really into kind of needs-based selling. What do you need? When do you need it? Who else needs it? So asking all those important questions. Who else in your organization thinks this is really important? Um, how are we going to save them time, money, energy, or effort? Really understand that and when. When is that important? So that really helps you understand when you'll be able to close. And to me, it's permission based. If I was able to send you a contract today, do you think you could have that signed on Wednesday? No, I've got to meet with so and so. Okay, great. Can I come to that meeting? Asking those questions, because when we're doing things by email, when we're doing them by phone, when we're doing them by video, it's never quite as good as in person. So when they actually study Harvard Business Review, they actually study negotiations. You get more done when you can actually come in and do the handshake. The next best thing is that video discussion. But you can't see a lot of the nonverbal language that's happening. You might not see somebody off on the side. You might miss a chance to meet somebody in the hallway on the way to that meeting, right? So I'd really recommend people go to their clients and really that'll shorten your negotiation or your time to making a sale. So as in this case, I believe you're into product photography. When's your next product launch? What would a good launch look like? What would be the reaction of customers? Where is the vision? And asking where that product manager or that business owner, where they want to go, will really help hopefully get them excited and you excited as well to be like, yeah, well, that sounds great. If we could put that in place, that'll give the designers a lot of time to put together the materials or put together your all your touch points for your social media package. We should really do it by this date. Really understanding where they want to go and what their needs are and asking for that advance and asking probing questions, some open-ended question, who, why, and where do you want to go, right? And what does that success look like? What do you envision? What do you think a great product shoot would look like? And we're going to try and save them time, energy, money, or effort. So, hey, I've got a little bit of time in my calendar, 6 weeks from now. Can I tentatively book you in? Do you think that'll work? Do you think that the team will have that stuff in place by then? Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, let's pencil that in. And I'd like to get a contract signed just so I can, hold that firm for you, because, I want to make sure that you get to that September 20th date that you mentioned. So really, I'm not just doing this for you. For me, I'm doing this for us. I'm keeping your needs in mind, right? So really just trying to move that forward and close based on what their needs are, right? So it may sound like you're being pushy, but, you know, to be honest, I am going to be looking for other customers and I'm going to be trying booking those dates out, right? I'm not a big fan of, creating fake demand. For the next 6 weeks, you might be watching YouTube or you might have a trip planned to get away, right? But, you could say, I've got a spot on my calendar. It looks like May 15th. Does that work for you, right? So asking, and how would that work for other members of the team? Who else does it matter for? So really asking those probing questions. And to me, photography, using those images to get them excited. Hey, we just launched this for another customer. Hey, our campaign over here had really great results. Hey, I just wanted to send you this quick photo shoot I was doing for a friend's company here. Or I really love this image. I just wanted to get it over to you. If you find out that they're into something, right? So definitely as part of your needs analysis, you want to get to know the person. If they're a family person, they're into birds, dogs, shoot them a picture of a great, great dog photo that you've just taken. It might help kind of move that forward as well because you're building a relationship in order to close as well. So, got another question here from Yethus Johnson. And his question is, how do I sell new contracts to existing and satisfied clients to retain them as clients? So once again, it's all about those questions. And one of the things that I always recommend is even as you're pitching a new client, asking them what success looks like and also preparing them to say, you know, as things go really well and as we move together within this relationship to get that outcome done for you, I'd like to be able to meet with you on a quarterly basis and figure out what's happening for you down the line to make sure that we have the things in place. We have the growth plan in place that's going to support where you're going and what your organization is doing. Does it sound good that we can set aside some time and really set that up? And also, we're trying to grow this team to make sure that we have the best people. Can I ask you also who uh, who would also want to do business with us as we're able to achieve these outcomes for you? So not only asking them, we're going to ask you for your repeat business, that permission-based questioning, but also we're going to ask you who you know, because you know more people in the industry than me, right? I hate to kind of rub a client's feet and really kind of boost them up, but you should. They're experts in their field, even if it's a new manager and they've just transferred. You're ingrained, you're doing it every day. So let me ask you, who else you know? Let me get stuff in the understand your product cycle. Let me understand where you're going with this organization, how you want to grow. Uh, and let's get some time to discover your needs going forward. And let's make sure that I can put the resources in place to make sure you're well taken care of next year, next quarter, next month, right? It looks like uh, Ethos is selling products that take like 1 to 2 years. Uh, any companies that's got that 2 year vision, they probably have a 3 and a 5 year, maybe even a 10 year plan, right? Lots of companies are planning on that outlook and say that you want to be a partner. So can we have a discussion about what that's going to look like next quarter? I'd like to dedicate resources and make sure we're able to service you. So really asking that question and saying, ask for the sale, right? You've got an existing relationship with them. Hey, can I send you a contract and we can make sure that we're moving forward with your needs for 2023 and 2024 because I think it's going to be a real breakthrough year for our industry, your industry, and we want to partner with you. So really telling them that your vision is with them, and that's a compliment. I've been in business a lot of years, and I have suppliers, that checks just keep on getting written, the credit card just comes through, and they haven't said to me, hey, Kael, if we do this, what will it look like for you down the road? What outcomes can you have, right? So really asking those questions. I mean, you're thinking about it. I think you're going to be set up to win. So love it. Going to watch your growth. Ricardo, he's got premium barbershop. So based on the current economy, any negotiating tips that go into renegotiate my lease for my barbershop? This is a tough one. Most business owners, or at least half of the business owners I've known over the years, have a love-hate or a hate-hate relationship with their landlords. So I love to hate my old one for 10 years. Over 10 years I was with him, spent like $1 million, right? I'm like $1 million customer, but he saw me only as a few $1,000s a month customers, even though it was 10 years. So one thing we have to know is that leases and leasing of property has been going on for hundreds of years. You know, our ancestors, might have been a bit more informal, but lawyers and property owners have been out to protect themselves from their customers. So a lot of leases are multi-page and really should be looked at, or at least the terms that are in them. If you're going to question somebody on it, you shouldn't be asking a recruiter. Everybody in business should have a lawyer, an accountant, a sales expert, a headhunter as they grow their business that they deal with. And if you rely on commercial space, either retail space or commercial or industrial space, really knowing good brokers in the industry, and as you grow, good commercial lawyers, real estate lawyers, right? So um, definitely reaching out to some brokers, offering to buy them coffee. I mean, you got a barbershop, people, right? So you just say, hey, my lease is coming up, and I deal with all these business owners who come into my barbershop, and I'd like to learn more. I've got this lease coming up. What do you think? And a good local one. Offer to buy lunch for a bunch of them, right? Because a lot of these people are super busy, but you know, they're looking, you might be a potential customer in the future. So bouncing the questions off the experts is super, super key. Um, yeah, and negotiating tips. Um, One of the questions that you've got is you've leased it personally, and now that you have a corporation, how can I transfer that lease? I think you probably have to give something up, so possibly a longer lease term in order to switch and remove your personal liability. I think a lot of landlords really want us to be personally liable, just in case our business goes out. They think they can get that pound of fresh flesh out of our house or wherever we might have some equity. So it's really hard to get your personal name removed from a lease without giving up something. But who knows? I'm not in your town. There's some states where they've legalized marijuana, and marijuana dispensaries are filling up a lot of the retail spaces. In other towns where a good barber is a great kind of corner anchor tenant for a smaller, a smaller facility or smaller mall. So really knowing your market and how much leverage you've got is important. And then, yeah, just looking around, what else is out there? So um, don't have a lot of faith. There's an episode of Suits apparently where their landlord kind of has them over the barrel, and they're like, "Oh, we're the best lawyers in town." And they just are up against years and decades and 100 years of these leasing agreements that are written by landlords for landlords. So you really need somebody in your corner as you renew that lease and looking at those provisions. Um, yeah, not an easy step. I'd personally try and avoid the personal guarantee for business loans as much as possible, and then also for leases. Hard to do, especially when it's a competitive, if there's lots of businesses vying for that good prime commercial space. Sometimes they require that personal liability, which is tough, but really try and avoid it. But yeah, um, hope the demand for haircuts is high and the demand for retail space is a little bit low, because it looks like you've got about 12 years secured, and if your customers know where they are, the parking is good. I love going to see my barber if the parking is good. All right, next question is from Asia Small. The purpose of prep is her company, and it looks like she's involved in SAT prep for high school students. So both navigating the admin process. But her question is, how do I approach leads via direct message through social media? And can you help me with some sample scripts to know how to open the conversation? Well, my kids are one and four, so I'm not thinking about SAT prep, and I'm 20, 25 years out of school, so really with direct messaging on social media, really need to change up your messaging and find what converts. So to me, I mentioned earlier, we are saving people time, money, energy, and effort. And probably effort is what people are looking to save. Um, you know, I don't want to have to hunt around for SAT prep. Um, I I want to get that done. I want to get it over with, and get it onto my applications, right? So, um, making sure some messaging will resonate for that either busy student or busy parent as well, right? So really thinking, permission based. I always like, hey, thanks so much. Um, really interested in what you're doing in relation to SAT prep as we head into, April, and what college, asking in some open-ended questions, what colleges would your son or daughter, or would you like to get into, right? So um, asking where they want to go, rather than, hey, can I sell you SAT or college application prep? You know, you take care of something so they can get somewhere. So really asking where they want to go to, but also remembering that they're not going to reply all the time. I get tons of messages from business coaches, consultants, commercial space realtors, um, people try to sell me everything. It's insane, and really it takes about, you know, 9, 10, sometimes as many as 15 touch points before somebody actually responds to a message. Sometimes it'll be direct message that works, but sometimes it'll be, a nice direct message that didn't work, but then they see your branding. They see that you've got some tracking on your website, or that you're tracking them on Instagram and you're feeding up some ads to them. So really a nice permission-based message. See if you're a CRM, with a lot of social messaging platforms, you're not able to use automated messages, but sometimes you can use automated messages, and you can see how much they're open up and how often they're responded to, right? So then you can tweak the messaging. So if I send out 100 messages that say, hey, I hope you're having a great April. Have you thought ahead to what school you're going to? Does that one get more responses than, and it being a yes no? Does it get more responses than, hey, a lot of the top schools are requiring X score on the SATs. Um, what sort of work are you doing to prep for that? Um, you know, really asking some open-ended questions and see what the responses are. What are the response rates? So, um, yeah, cold DMing is a tough game. Definitely, there's people who do that on scale by email, cold emails. Lots of people have tricks for that, but really trying to get those open rates and those response rates up is a real science. So, test that out. Ask, you know, maybe ask a negative question that never hurts to see if it works, right? You know, what would happen if you don't get into college? What are your thoughts? And someone's like, oh man, all my family's gone to college. I got to get into college. So what things are you doing? Or here's some success we had in helping students last year, right? So try out those messages, watch the open rates. So, and message multiple times, right? You're going to have to message 3 to 4 to 5, 6 times to actually get those open rates. Now, a bit of a tough one. Coots Agency, sorry if I've got that pronunciation wrong. How do I prepare my business to survive in the event of my passing? So This is a really difficult question for some of us entrepreneurs. We think we're going to live forever, but the facts are I don't want to run this business forever. I'd love it if somebody else ran it for me. Um, and and I do have a bit of a high risk lifestyle. I go offshore fishing in my boat with my friends. I like to do a bit of free diving. I like to mountain bike, so I could be incapacitated. So I've got a couple of things in place. I have a family member who's actually a signatory at the bank. So things can get deposited, checks can get written right away if something happens to me. And I've let my general manager know that. We do have a lot of things in place, so payroll and things can happen, but definitely there's a signatory who can make changes, take out loans, do the sorts of things. Um, Definitely, as you get deeper into this, talk to your lawyer, right? It might be that a power of attorney is going to be right for your company and your estate. So definitely in the case where you have a husband and wife, having a power of attorney is super important if both of you unfortunately meet an untimely death, which I hope will never happen. I hope you grow your company and sell it off and you can watch your grandchildren grow up. But having a power of attorney in place and really a what if in place for your management to make sure that they know how to keep things going. If you have somebody who's your power of attorney, tell them what your wishes are. You know what? I want to break this up as fast as possible and help my kids move on. Or, this is a legacy for me. I've talked to my children about it. I'd like this business to be able to operate for 5 to 10 years and follow our plan. Here's our plan. So really checking in with that person who you've got, not as executive of your estate, but as power of attorney for your company, right? And making sure your management knows where you want to go. So I know a lot of business owners have this vision in their head of where they want to go and are a little hard to, have a difficult time articulating it to employees and other people. But tell them where you want to go, make sure they get on board on where you want to go and write down that plan and hopefully get them to fill in some of the details of where you're going to get to. Because if they fill in some of the details, if you're gone, they're going to keep it going there, right? And that legacy, that company you want to grow, our 3 year, our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year vision, it should have that big, hairy, audacious goal. I want to be the top agency in the country for doing X. For us, we really want to help 1,000 people every year get into better jobs and make more money, right? So 1,000 people doesn't seem like much, but I mean, that has a great impact because, each one of those almost, half those people are at least are going to have families, right? So we're going to be helping thousands of people. And if I get somebody a raise once, it's not a raise that just happens one time. It's a raise that happens for, you know, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that compounding amount they get, or if we help them get a better job closer to town, it saves them time, right? So that vision, put it in place and make sure other people in your company share it. And that'll really help for that business continuity. They're like, you know what, AJ, if that's your name, it looks like on your email address, AJ, we're going to keep this going in the event that something happens to you. So really sharing that vision with getting it out of your head, getting it to your team, that'll help in the event of business continuity. And work with a good lawyer, right? Um, get to know a few lawyers, just like lawyers, recruiters, um, real estate agents. There's some who are good and there's some who are really good. Get a really good commercial business lawyer. Get to know them. You don't have to have them on retainer and be spending 10 grand, but really bounce, hey, do I need this, right, off them. Super important. All right, a quick one from Melinda Clark. How do I need to form different companies for different product lines or services? And the reason I can say this as a definite no, you don't need to, is because I did. I spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands supporting a separate company, doing separate payroll, doing separate annual returns, maintaining different bank accounts, paying double fees at the bank, when really I should have just offered it as a service service line. I could even have done a different brand name and a different website. I was doing that anyways, but when I sent an invoice, I'd say, payable to my original company, Red Seal Recruiting. So you don't need another company unless you're maybe bringing in investors, right? So if you think, in 3 months I'm going to bring in investors, I'm going to be looking for X amount of money, sure, then you can incorporate that. But I'd really test out that line of business to make sure that you've got enough money to support not only the other entity, but that it's worth that distraction, that extra time. Because when you start that company, you think it's your baby, but all companies die eventually, right? Even the biggest ones, Nike, Tesla, Airbnb, they're all going to die someday. So don't get too attached to forming another company before it's profitable. Your original one, definitely because of liability and stuff, and tax purposes, it's good to have a corporation. But talk to your lawyer, of course, before you think about adding another one, and understand the full cost and the extra resources and effort of having that company. So um, definitely there are reasons to brand it differently. So I definitely recommend you're in health services, Melinda, and you want to deliver some that is, really kind of scientific and based on insurance. And then you want some other stuff that is built on more popular, changing health needs. Definitely spin up another brand, add another Instagram account. Like, it's easy to switch now, right? But if you're getting checks, running things through Stripe or your credit card and stuff, it doesn't usually matter. Sometimes people are like, oh, is this legit, when they've got a different company name? But it's very rare. Once somebody's made that purchase decision and they've got a PO or their invoice is sent to them, they've already bought your services. They're going to pay it. So I'd hold off on that, but definitely branding things differently, especially if you're thinking of your target persona is somebody different, um, and you've got a different brand value proposition that you're going to use. Definitely spin up another brand, but operating as, I think that's better. Um, but yeah, definitely work on those buyer personas, and yeah, really try and define your marketing to each person who's going to be making that purchasing decision. Even if it is a spouse that's making it for a husband, or if it's insurance and your actually target company is the insurance company versus the consumer. Great. Well, super happy to have gotten on here and done this live. I really would love to get your questions. Um, yeah, just tell me what's happening in your business. If I said something wrong, go ahead, argue with me on it. Love to hear different ideas and learn things from you. Right? We're all out there in the field making some mistakes. A lot of my team does a lot of the sales work. I'm on a few sales calls a week, just touching base with past clients or nurturing big clients. So what's happening with you? I don't have to do lots of cold DMs. We've got some marketing automation at scale, and our social media is working okay. And I'm able to do some branding at scale, personal branding that helps bring in customers. So your situation might be different. So would love to hear what's working for you. And yeah, if you're like, Kael, that advice on that lawyer was, hey, I went and spent this money. Sorry, spending money is part of being an entrepreneur, and I hope you make more money out of this. And definitely being a part of a group of entrepreneurs really makes a big difference for me. It took me about 8 to 10 years to find good groups of entrepreneurs. I meet with 2 groups of entrepreneurs every month, and yeah, some of them are killing it, making tens of millions of dollars. Some of them are selling their businesses. So it's really that inspiration on what they do in their business and outside their business. Their lives outside of the business are super important as well. So thanks so much. Appreciate Sean for bringing me on, and yeah, look forward to being part of the group.